Alright, so now I'm getting ready to tip the scales on this thing. I tried to use my smallest brush, but it was still too big for these tiny scales. So instead I'm going to use a toothpick and dip it in the highlight color and tip each individual scale. So that's going to take me a minute. I won't show all of this. I'll do most of it off camera, but I'll do enough here to show you the process. And these tiny details to attention can really set it off. I wasn't going to do it, but after I'd done a few of them and saw the results of what it looked like, it's just going to add a whole nother level of detail to it that really makes it pop. Probably should have started in the back, but oh well. And I probably won't carry it all the way down through. I'm just going to hit the highlights on the top of the back, maybe down to about the mid lateral line section. And it's kind of giving me an idea also that I may go around the halo of each of these spots and tip them. Because when you look at the image on a reel, I don't know if this will show up here, but when you look at the halos, the colors are the actual scales around the trout. So I'm trying to decide if I want to go get that detailed with it or not. After looking at what it looks like here, I think I will. Going to give myself another several days of working on it, but it'll be worth it in the end, I think. It'll help distract from all the mistakes I've made in the carving. And there's plenty. But this is a learning process for me. You know, I've never carved a brown trout before. So, you know, this is only my 5th fish to ever carve. So it's the whole thing's a learning process for me. So like now I'm sitting here thinking I wish I would have made this top a little darker, because putting these little gold highlights on these teal scale tips, excuse me, it's going to make it appear a little bit lighter, but that's all right. I'm not going to change it. I'm going to try one of the halos and just see what it looks like. Let's see, I think I'm going to do it with some silver. Maybe mixed with a little bit of white. This silver's pretty strong. It's not that strong. Let's see here. White. always put too much paint out. And when I don't put too much, I don't put enough. So what I'm going to do for the halo tipping is I've got some this metallic silver. And then I'm going to use a little bit of this blue iridescent that I'm going to mix in with it. This is a light blue, and it has a little bit of iridescence in it, and then just plain white. So I'm going to mix a little bit of white in there with the silver, just to tone it down from being too silvery. Put just a tad bit of this blue in it, just to knock down some of the starkness of the white. And then I'm going to put some of this blue iridescent. Alright, let's try that. So, I'm just going to go around the halo. Well, shoot. I like it. That means I'm about to go through all these and do every one of them. And tip each scale around each dot. Yep, I like it. Let me start back here at the back. That way I can be out of the way of it as I go. And what I've done on this toothpick is I broke the end of it off so that it's flat. And I'm just going around on each scale that surrounds the dot. I'm putting a little speck of the... I kind of wish I'd have done that in the first place versus painting around it. Lord, this is going to be time consuming. But it'll look better in the long run. I've got to make a little bit different shade up here for these gold halo. The halos on the top turn more of a gold color, so I need to mix up a little bit of a batch of gold. Oh, I need to make a little bit more of the silver too, so let me do it all at one time here. So just to recap, what I've done was I've got some metallic silver, and it's a little strong on the metallic side, so I'm adding just some plain white to it to tone it down a little bit. And then I have this little touch of blue here that's got a little metallic in there, and then this blue iridescence that I'm going to add to it. I've pretty much got the one side done. I need to do the other side, but like I say, I need to go in on these upper halos around the dots. They're my reference photos. They're a little more they have a little more gold tinge to them, so that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to make a batch of the silver, and then I'm going to make a little bit of a batch with the gold in it too. A couple of these carvings I've done, I was getting kind of frustrated because I wasn't really, I guess I get in too big a hurry. I need to teach myself to slow down. But I get in a, sometimes I get to a point where it's just not working for me, and I've honestly thought about giving up on it and starting, something totally new. But I've been fighting through it, and I find out that when I start adding the details, when the finishing touches start going on it, it really starts making a difference. And same thing with this trout. I did kind of a crappy job on some of the finish work on it as far as carving, and I started to give up on it and start over on a different one. And I thought, no, I'm going to finish this one. And I found out that the more details I get on it, the better it starts looking. So like I wasn't real happy with the way this one was turning out until I started putting all the paint details on. I think I've mentioned this before, but I'm extremely new to wood carving, so this is everything I'm doing is by trial and error. So this is a learning process for me, and I started this YouTube channel to so that maybe it'll help others starting out, that they can see the mistakes I've made, or maybe learn from what I do, or learn from what not to do. And it's all a learning process for me. When I did my first fish, I don't know if I've told this story or not, but I actually started carving because my daughter is a huge Harry Potter fan ever since she was a little girl. And she has a ton of movie memorabilia and Harry Potter type, replica wands. So I had a old Dremel that I've had laying around for years that I use for just work related, various, if I needed a Dremel for something. But I thought, well, it'd be pretty cool to maybe try and carve a magic wand for her that's personalized. So her favorite creature on the Harry Potter show is the Thestral, and she even got a tattoo of one on her arm. So I thought, well, I wonder if I could maybe carve something that looked like a Thestral onto a piece of wood and make her own personalized wand. So I chopped down piece of walnut off of a big walnut tree in my backyard, and I proceeded to start carving on the wine, and didn't know what I was doing at all. I do have an artistic background. I've drawn and painted all my life, so I do have just a little bit of an artistic flair, I guess you could say. And it didn't seem like it would be that hard to do. So anyway, I carved the wine, and it actually turned out pretty good, and I gave it to her for Christmas, and she loved it. Well, I ended up carving 3 more for her, and I'll show them in an insert here, but she liked them, so I ended up carve some tree spirits. I think every wood carver carves a tree spirit at one time or another. So I carved a few tree spirits, just kind of getting the hang of it. I did a little owl on a tree, and then I decided, hey, as much as I like to fish, need to do something for my son. He likes to fish. So I decided to carve a crappie. And I did it out of a piece of old pine 2x4, or 4x6 actually. Cut it out and just started carving. And watched a few videos on it here and there, and different techniques. And it actually turned out pretty good I thought for a first time beginner. And I was hooked after that. I started other projects. The next project I started was the bluegill brim. And then I did the bass. And then the rainbow trout. And then the smallmouth. And then now I've started this one. By trade, I'm a professional photographer. I work for the Arkansas Secretary of State's office, and I had a photography business for about 15 years or so, 20 years. I took the job, got offered the job with the Secretary of State's office, and decided to take it, and I love it. I love the job. I get to meet a lot of people, work with a lot of people. But when I finished the crappie, I showed a picture of it to a friend of mine that works in the House of Representatives, and she showed it to Representative Carlton Wing. Carlton Wing has a outdoor production show that he produces fishing outdoor TV shows. And we got in contact with each other, and he asked me if I would be interested in doing the segment on his TV show about my wood carvings. And so that was kind of caught me off guard. So I said, yeah, I hadn't, that would be great. And the only thing I had done at the time is the crappie. So I got busy and started carving others. That was in, it was at the first of the year, I guess. So we set it up, and he was starting a new show called Live Bait that was going to air on the World Fishing Network. It's a national TV show. And we set it up, and he came out to my house, and they recorded the segment, and we talked about the fish carvings. But after he contacted me, I got busy. I mean, because like I said, the only thing I had done was the crappie. So I got busy and got the other ones done. And he come out in August and did the taping with me, and the show aired this past October. And which was really neat to watch yourself on TV, especially a national TV show. But I got a few followers from it, and he's asked me to do another TV show that he just started. This one's a local show here in Arkansas on KASN Channel 38, and it's called the Arkansas Great Outdoors. And he's gonna do a segment with me on that show as well. So that's kind of neat. I really appreciated it. I'm gonna post the one live bait show segment on my YouTube channel. He was under contract not to show, not to do anything on social media with him until after the first of the year. So I think that time has passed. So I'm going to be here pretty soon posting it on here. So watch for that. And then if you would, go to his channel, Carlton Wing, and subscribe and follow to him if you're a fisherman. He's a really nice guy, and he knows his stuff. But I started carving. I got into it. I mean, after I done the wines, and then done the first few fish, and I'm hooked on it now. I started this YouTube channel years ago. Just thought maybe I might post some drawings and paintings and stuff that I do on it. Maybe I like to fish and hunt, so maybe doing some. I've always wanted to do my own hunting and fishing videos. So at some point I'm going to add some of those. Actually, I've got one fishing video on here already. Me and a friend of mine. It was just kind of a little spoof. We went out crappie fishing. Had fun with it. But I really started using it to do these videos of these carvings so that maybe somebody new could learn from it. Either learn from what I do or learn from my mistakes. Either one. But it's also led me to, met a lot of people, made a lot of friends through social media. One of my good friends that I've made is his name's David Okonski. David's in New York, and he's a master carver, and he does phenomenal work. And he's been carving for 30 or 40 years probably. I know he's told me, but David's been a big inspiration to me. We've talked. I've never met him in person, but we talk a lot on social media, Messenger, texting back and forth, and he's really helped me out a lot. Gave me some good advice, and he's even sent me patterns. He sent me the pattern for this this trout, matter of fact. And he sent me, I've got other patterns also that he sent. And I've drawn my own patterns. He sent me some glass eyes for, what did I do? Oh, was it? I think it's for the smallmouth. And he's just been a tremendous help. I was looking to buy a Fordham rotary tool, and he knew of a lady whose husband had passed away up there, that he had one, and she was looking to sell it. So he took the time, he was kind enough to take the time to go out of his way to go look at the Fordham to make sure it was in good working order. And he purchased it from her and sent it, packaged it up and sent it to me, and I paid him back for it, of course. But I just really appreciated him taking the time to go out of his way to do that. And one of these days soon, hopefully, I'm going to plan a trip up there and maybe go do some carving with him. Maybe even do a little video. But he had told me about the competitions, the world competitions. So I looked them up. I think he had a couple students that had placed in the world competition. So he kind of encouraged me to look into it. So I did, and so this May, I'm going to be entering the taxidermy world competition in Springfield. It's a taxidermy competition, but they also have a fish wood carving category. So I'm going to be entering in that in the novice division and see how it goes. So I'm going to, after this brown trout, I'm going to do a black crappie and another largemouth bass for the competition. So when I finish this brown trout, I'll be starting on I haven't decided if I'm going to start on the bass or the crappie yet, but it'll be one of them. So you can look for that. Alright, I've got all those gold scales gold tipped on that side. And I'm going to start on this side over here. But it's been fun. I've really enjoyed it. One of these days I'm going to build me a shop that's heated and aired where I've got a shop, but it doesn't have heat and air. I think I've probably mentioned that several times. I'm by no means a YouTube influencer. I'm just doing this just to help others, actually. Just kind of help people learn from my mistakes. I'm in a couple Facebook groups, wood carving groups, and I've made some friends on there. Actually, that's where I met David Okoski, through one of the Facebook wood carving groups I'm in. And I got another young man that started following me, and he's got a YouTube channel called Tom C Outdoors. He's only 15 years old, and he's been doing some phenomenal work. He's got a bass carving that he done. and he's going places. If he keeps it up, he'll be going places. I wish I'd have started when I was 15. I really envy him starting out at that young age. If he keeps up with it, he'll be a master carver in no time. He has some, he's carved some lures. So I hope to see another project of a fish carving here soon from him. I had intended to be done with this today and the painting done and possibly getting it clear coated. I wouldn't finish the habitat base today, but the fish itself would be done. And I decided to tip all these individual scales. So that's going to take me another couple days, I'm afraid. Won't be just a couple minutes for y'all, but it's going in real time. It's going to be 2 or 3 days for me. This is bad enough. I'm surprised I got the patience to do all this. But it is adding another layer of detail that I wouldn't have got otherwise with just painting. Just where I left off with it. I really like the way the halos around the spots look by tipping them. It looks more natural, I think. Especially looking at the reference photos. Okay, I think that's going to about finish it up for this series. Appreciate y'all watching, and hope you'll subscribe and look for the next project. I think it's going to be a crappie or a largemouth bass. I haven't decided yet. Probably a crappie. But anyway, I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you on the next one.